This is a fictional dramatized story for entertainment. No graphic content. The house had always felt too vast for just the two of us. A sleek modern box of glass and steel perched on a bluff overlooking the rugged coastline of Big Sur, California. All clean lines and endless Pacific views that Mark adored. He said the crashing waves cleared his head, helped him think. To me, the silence only amplified everything that was missing. The echo of footsteps on polished hardwood. The distant roar of the ocean below. The wind rattling the tall windows at night like it wanted inside. Mark had left before dawn for a conference in San Francisco. 5 days of panels, networking dinners, the kind of trip he used to call necessary chaos. I'd kissed the warm spot beneath his ear while he slept, felt the familiar scratch of his stubble, then slipped back into our bed alone. Sleep didn't return. By 6 I was up restless, wearing the pale blue silk slip he'd given me for our 8th anniversary. The fabric still glided over my skin like cool water, thin straps barely holding it in place. I hadn't worn it in months. Today it felt like a small act of defiance against the quiet. Before we dive into this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to Hloara. It really helps us keep bringing you these raw, real stories every single day. I brewed some chamomile tea in the kitchen, carried the steaming mug to the living room, and somehow, still half asleep, I knocked it over. Tea spilled in a dark arc across the floor. I muttered under my breath, set the mug down and grabbed a cloth. On my hands and knees wiping up the sticky puddle, I felt the air shift behind me. Ethan was standing in the doorway. He'd been staying with us for almost 3 weeks now, between leases, between jobs, figuring out his next chapter. Mark's younger brother by 4 years, but you could see the family in the dark hair, the strong jaw, the quiet confidence they both carried. Ethan was softer around the edges, less restless. His eyes held something gentler, more watchful. He wore only gray sweatpants, chest bare, the early coastal light carving shadows along his collarbone. He didn't speak at first. Just watched. I froze, cloth clutched in my fist, suddenly hyper-aware of how the silk had ridden up my thighs, how the cool ocean breeze slipped through the open glass wall and brushed my skin. I swallowed. I spilled my tea, I said, my voice thinner than I intended. He stepped into the room. Slow. Deliberate. Knelt in front of me so our knees nearly touched. Reached for the cloth. Our fingers brushed once, twice, and a spark shot up my arm. He took it gently, began wiping the floor in long, careful strokes. I should have stood. I should have laughed it off, made a joke about morning clumsiness, retreated to safe distance. But I stayed right there on my knees, watching the play of muscle across his shoulders, the steady rise and fall of his breathing. When the floor was clean, he didn't rise. He just sat back on his heels and looked at me. Really looked. Not the polite glance of family. Not the casual affection of a brother-in-law. Something deeper. Hungrier. My heart hammered so loud I was sure he could hear it. Claire, he said. My name sounded different in his mouth, lower, rougher, like a secret he'd been carrying. I couldn't speak. The room felt smaller, the air heavier. Outside, a gull cried once, sharp and distant. He reached out slowly, giving me every chance to pull away, and brushed the pad of his thumb along my cheekbone, wiping away a stray drop of tea I hadn't noticed. His touch lingered. Warm. Steady. I didn't flinch. I leaned into it just the smallest fraction. His eyes darkened. We shouldn't, I whispered. I know. But neither of us moved. He leaned in until our foreheads touched. No kiss yet. Just the press of skin, breath mingling. I closed my eyes. For the first time in years I felt the weight of being seen. Not as Mark's wife. Not as the woman who kept the house perfect and the calendar organized and smiled at dinner parties. Just me. Claire. Flawed. Wanting. Then our mouths met. Slow, tentative, like we were both afraid the other would disappear if we moved too fast. His lips were warm, slightly chapped. When I parted mine, he deepened the kiss, one hand sliding to the nape of my neck, fingers threading into my hair. Not pulling. Holding. Anchoring us both. A small sound escaped me. Half sigh, half surrender. He lifted me then, effortless, careful, and carried me to the wide sectional instead of the floor. Laid me down among the throw pillows, morning light spilling across us in pale gold bands. We let the moment take us in a way we never expected. The moment unfolded naturally, like something inevitable. carried on the quiet tide of emotion in the soft light of dawn. Before we go any further, if this story is hitting you, please smash that like button and subscribe to Hloara right now. Your support keeps these honest, intimate stories coming every day. We held each other in silence, the weight of what happened settling in. No grand promises. No explanations. Just the quiet knowledge that something had shifted forever. The days that followed passed in a strange suspended dream. We didn't talk about it, not directly, but the truth lived between us like electricity. In the kitchen, reaching for coffee, our fingers would brush and we'd both freeze. In the hallway, passing too close, I'd feel the heat coming off him. At night, with Mark still away, I'd lie alone in our big bed and remember the warmth of him, the way he'd looked at me, the way I'd felt truly alive in that single moment. I lay awake thinking about what happened, and sometimes the memories kept me awake, stirring feelings I couldn't ignore. Then the waves of guilt would crash in, leaving me still, tears slipping silently. Ethan was careful, gentle, never pushy, but every glance felt loaded. Every accidental touch reignited the memory. One afternoon the rain came down in sheets, hammering the glass walls. I was in the laundry room folding towels, mechanical, mindless, when he appeared in the doorway. He leaned against the frame, arms crossed, watching me. "He's back tomorrow," he said. I nodded, kept folding. "This stops here," he continued. Voice steady, but his eyes were sad. I looked up. "I know." He stepped closer, reached out, tucked a loose strand of hair behind my ear, one last lingering touch. "I'm not sorry it happened," he said quietly, "but I'm sorry it can't happen again." I swallowed hard. "Me too." He leaned down, pressed a soft kiss to my forehead, chased final, then turned and walked away. Mark came home the next morning, jet-lagged, happy, full of stories about panels and late-night drinks, and the new project he was excited about. He hugged me tight in the doorway, kissed me long and familiar. I kissed him back, tasting guilt like metal on my tongue. Ethan left an hour later. Quick hug for his brother. A polite thanks for everything to me. Our eyes met for half a second, long enough for everything to flash between us. Then he was gone. Now the house is full again. Mark's laughter fills the kitchen. The TV murmurs in the background. I cook dinner, listen to his day, smile when he calls me babe. On the surface, nothing has changed. But inside, something cracked open and refuses to close. At night, lying next to my sleeping husband, I stare into the dark and remember. Not just the moment, but the way Ethan looked at me. Like I was the only thing in focus. Like I mattered completely, without condition. Before we wrap up tonight, if you've made it this far, hit that like button, subscribe to Hloara, and turn on notifications so you never miss another story. Thank you for being here. I don't know if I'll ever stop carrying it. The memory is a small hot coal lodged deep inside. It burns when Mark touches me and I flinch, not from disgust but from the sharp, vivid contrast. It burns when I catch myself smiling at nothing, remembering a single whispered word. I'm not proud. The guilt is real, heavy, constant. I betrayed a good man who loves me in his steady, reliable way. I broke something sacred. And yet, in the quiet hours when the house is still and Mark's breathing is even beside me, I let myself feel it again. The raw aliveness of being wanted so completely. Not out of habit. Not out of duty. Just because. I don't know what that makes me. I only know I can't unfeel it. And part of me, small, honest, terrified, doesn't want to. What would you have done, standing in that bright, silent room, feeling truly seen for the first time in years? Would you have walked away? Or would you have let the moment take you, knowing it would change everything forever? Tell me in the comments. I'll be reading every one. See you in the next story on Hloara.